happening around as they were doing their excavation, and such works. The word Altun Ha is Mayan for Rockstone Pond. The name Rockstone Pond is derived from a man-made pond that the Mayans built to collect water from this site. The pond is about a half of a mile along a trail on the west end of the site, and in the absence of a freshwater source, they constructed that pond, and it's still holding water today. So they were very ingenious in their design. So Altun Ha is Mayan for Rockstone Pond. The entire community has been nicknamed Rockstone Pond, and as you have seen, they make a living off of the Mayan city. So the little you give back, if you tend to pick up some type of souvenir or small item, goes right back into Altun Ha, into the community of Rockstone Pond. Yes, this site was known to flourish in the classic period from 900 to 400 BC. What we have found out about Altun Ha is that not only was it wealthy, but in the absence of a major trading route, it was apparent that Altun Ha attracted lots and lots of trade and business. The largest jade artifact ever found in the Munda Mayan world was found right here in Altun Ha. It was a jade head in the image of Kinichahau, the Mayan sun god. It was found in the main temple, Plaza B. We will be climbing Plaza B. Those of you who chooses to take the adventurous climb up on top, and you will see for yourself where that very popular jade head was found. It is important that I mention the largest because jade is not found in this country. Jade can only be found, it's a volcanic rock. In the highlands of Guatemala is the closest point where such a precious stone can be had. Yet, the largest jade artifact you ever find in the Mayan world was found here in Altun Ha. Altun Ha is just one of 80 sites that have been discovered in what is now presently Belize.
There's a duck calling. That's appropriate for this kind of a tour, though.
I was looking around to see what it was.
That's what I heard earlier.
Yeah, that's my ringtone. Sorry.
I sure didn't have big teeth on it or something.
It's my friend calling me, but he's calling at a bad time. Sorry. So yeah, as I was saying though, jade is not indigenous to us. But even though, if we're rating the importance of trade, we have the largest jade artifact that was ever found.
Yeah.
Trading was very, very important to the Mayans. The rulers, whenever they would be conducting bloodletting rituals, would have headdresses made out of the quetzal bird feather, a bird that is again indigenous to Guatemala. Therefore, once again, the importance of trans-border trading. There was no borders then, of course, but there was Tikal, which is the largest Mayan city in this region, arguably so. We're saying Caracol, which is within Belize's borders, is larger than Tikal, but yet to be proven. So yeah, there's that cross-trading that they brought with them. The quetzal feathers, the jade artifacts that they took back from there, chocolate, honey, corn, such very important essentials. There was, as with every modern day empire, there was politics. There was religion. You had the high priest and you had the ruler. So while the trading would have been conducted in this area here, which would have been where you had the high priest presiding over it, would have been across in Plaza B, and he would have his coveted share of whatever trading transpired within his empire. The temples we're seeing was all built by manual hands. The Mayans, there was no proof that they ever used the wheel. We do know that construction was a very tedious, lengthy process. We know that limestone was used to construct all these temples you see. Limestone, as you know, is fossilized remains of sea creatures. It's in great abundance in this part of the world. And that could be the reason why there are so many Mayan cities, or were so many Mayan cities in this region, because there was the availability of building material. How they did it, the limestone would have been broken into huge boulders, and they would light fires around the boulders to soften them. And as the fire would heat it, it would break into smaller, more workable pieces, and they would use obsidian to square those pieces of limestone into workable blocks. And they would use the smaller pieces to make mortar, and that's what they would stick as for the mortar in between the building blocks. If you look over there at the temple on exactly in front of me, you can see clearly the lower, closer to the drum, it looks almost white. Those are original Mayan architecture, building blocks. What you see, the stones were just put there by archaeologists to kind of give the place some structural integrity. But as we walk over there, you will see clearly, what the original Mayan masons would have been working with. Are there any questions there?
You're talking about obsidian. Where do they get that? That's volcanic.
Obsidian is it's again trading. As I had said, the Mayans in Belize traded the Mayans in Guatemala. Of course, there weren't any known countries. There wasn't any differentiation in the countries. But the Mayans in North Guatemala would bring with them whatever was needed in these areas here, taking up with them what they coveted from here but could not find over there. So trading, the importance of trading, very vital to their existence.
So you have some volcanic action in Guatemala.
In Guatemala, presently, even still, they have volcanic action over there. In Belize, we have never had any history of volcanoes. Okay. Not even in our far distant past history have you had any evidence of volcanic action here.
One of these sites we went to, they have a large block there that was partly cut through. It looked like it had been cut with a diamond saw.
They were way ahead of their time. I mean, they were.
How they used that obsidian to make that cut.
Right.
Well, I can't imagine what they did to do that.
There were some very brilliant people. I mean, one of their few challenges, but very, it is said to have been a part of the demise of their culture, was the fact that, as smart as they were, they did not practice crop rotation. They would work an area, get the best out of it, and they would leave it. And as their population was boosting and growing, they were short supply of very good fertile soil. So that combined with droughts that was occurring in that time frame and other such, it is believed that those are some of the instances that led to the eventual demise of their culture. Many people ask, where did the Mayans go? What happened to the Mayans? They didn't die away. They didn't leave in some spaceship. Look around us today. Every day, as you look at the faces in Belize and neighboring countries, you see the mestizos culture that has emerged. The mestizos is a mixture of Spanish and Mayans. That's what happened to the Mayans. They integrated into the local culture, and you have a new ethnicity, mestizos, which is just that distinction, Spanish and Mayans. There is no proof that human sacrifices was ever done at any of these temples. We don't know that bloodletting rituals was conducted. A bloodletting ritual was done by the ruler when there was need for them to appease their gods. It would mean that he would personally sacrifice of himself, of his own blood and his own body, to communicate with the gods. And in that way, he would then be able to report back to his population, to his followers, whatever the gods would have said. A typical ritual would have involved, the ruler on top of the main temple of the Plaza B, dressed with his headdress. He would carry a shield from the skin of a tapir. The tapir is that's the national animal, but it's also like one of the largest herbivores we have in the rainforest, and a hide that is at least an inch thick, a very thick hide. So they would use the hide to make a shield, He would have a lance, jade necklaces, beads, loincloth, and a jaguar skin draped across his body. He had conquered the king of the forest. He was a powerful person. And using a stingray's spine, he would pierce his lips, his ears, and his foreskin. And while bleeding on the top of the main temple there, he would be, in a sense, in communication with his God. They would summon the entire population into the main plaza to witness the spectacle. And in a trance-like way, probably from the loss of blood and the heat and humidity, probably in a trance-like manner, he would then relate to his high priest what he and the gods had communicated, and the high priest would then emerge and he would then disperse information to the population, telling them, well, this was been done when they were faced with trials and tribulations. Maybe the crops were yielding, maybe for whatever reason, the rains weren't coming as they should. They would look in the clouds and they would figure, hey, you know what, storm clouds are building, so maybe it's time now for us to perform. They ruled, they ruled by fear and control. There were some very intelligent people. But let's move along. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, usually it's the leader stands up and said, okay, you, and you, and you, prepare. That's amazing.
Yeah, we could use some of that kind of leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, we sure could.